What's good everyone, it's Zigzag here. Welcome back to another Geoguessr video. Now over the last few years, Google has added quite a number of countries to Google Street View, and their mission is to eventually cover every single country in the world, thus making all of them playable in Geoguessr. Well, this map, called Geoguessr in 2069 by Jigen, is meant to simulate Geoguessr from the future. It includes coverage from every single country in the world, leading to an experience that you'll only be able to get on official Street View years in the future. Okay, Geoguessr in 2069, let's see how many countries in a row we can get correct. And here is our first location. This is definitely interesting. So clearly tropical. I think those are palm trees over on the other side of the beach there. We do have some language here, but I can't quite read what it says. It says clad at the end there, maybe. Very hard to read, to be fair. Yeah, we do actually have some little palms here. It honestly looks quite a lot like the US, but the road is relatively poor quality, I would say. And the bridge is quite rusty too. So I'm gonna say it's not the US, but maybe something in the Caribbean or Northern South America. So I'm thinking maybe Bahamas could work pretty well here. I mean, it is really flat and sandy there. Also, for some reason, the ABC Islands came to mind here, just because this does not look like English at all. And many of these islands do speak English. Just a thought I had. But I think I do like Bahamas the best. I mean, it does look quite a lot like Florida. I'm not really sure. I'm gonna go further down here. I'm gonna go Morris Settlement. And I guess this is still part of the Bahamas, which is bigger than I thought. But let's try that. And okay, it was New Caledonia. Definitely a tough round to start off with there. We had pretty little to go off of, so I'm not too disappointed about that. Next one here, we've got Cyrillic. So it says Tuntexi, I think so. And we have funeral notices on these poles. Guys, when you see funeral notices on the poles, especially with this like blue border, it normally means it's Serbia, I think Bulgaria, or North Macedonia. I think that's the three countries where you see those. Now, these pole tops look Serbian to me, so I think I'm pretty happy with that. Also, of course, makes sense with the Cyrillic here. It's kind of hilly, vegetation all lines up. But yeah, this is a really strong meta, so we should just be in Serbia here, I reckon. Actually, North Macedonia. But yeah, as I said, those three countries is where you see those, so not a bad score at all. Okay, next one here. I mean, this pole looks rather Indian to me, and with a blue like metal sheet roof, if it is India, it's going to be all the way up towards Bhutan here, I reckon. We have mountains there kind of northeast of us. Really tall mountains to the north does make sense, of course, for this area of India. Could also be over the border in Bhutan or something like that, definitely. Although I think the pole does look more Indian, so I don't think staring at this longer is going to help me too much. I'm just going to go for the guess. I'm going to go right here in Arunachal Pradesh, because it does look quite a lot like Bhutan to me. And it was, I guess, right on the border of Arunachal Pradesh and on the border of China as well. So a good score there. Actually, not too bad. Okay, next one here. This is a Brazilian pole with the holes in it. But the question would be, could this be another country that was colonized by the Portuguese? Because technically speaking, this is a Portuguese style of pole. I think it could be Angola. What else do we have? Mozambique could be another option as well, I think. What else did the Portuguese colonize? That's the two that jump to mind. There are others, I think. But I do think the people in the background here do look African. So I'm wondering if Angola would actually be a good shout here. I think Angola is quite a sandy country. The very fact we have walls around all the buildings also does remind me more of Africa than of Brazil. And honestly, whatever the writing is on the side of the pole doesn't remind me of Brazil either. So I think I will actually go here. I'm going to pick a coastal town because it feels quite coastal. It also feels quite equatorial as well. So I'm going to push it up even further north here, but it is still dry. So I'm going to go just south of the capital, Luanda then. Oh, and it was actually just Luanda. That makes sense. So a really good score there. And we're on two countries in a row now. This immediately struck me as something Central or South American. We do have the place name here. Let's exit full screen. Calle Santiesteban. Well, Calle is Spanish, so we know it's not Brazil, although the poll pretty much disqualified Brazil to begin with. I have two specific thoughts here, guys. I think this is Bolivia or Paraguay. It's just the architecture. It reminds me of Brazil. We have short license plates. Problem though, we do have a lot of North American cars. A lot of times in South America, you get a lot of European cars, but these look to be manufactured in North America. That's a Ford. That might also be a Ford. That might be as well. So that's a little bit sus. We do have a lot of coconut palms as well. Okay, the longer I look, the less sure I am, to be honest. Yeah, I could definitely see something Costa Rica, something like that, but I like South America better still with this architecture. Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia, Paraguay, they're all possible to me. And I'm just trying to think, would this be a yellow plate in Colombia? Because a lot of times pickup trucks will actually have white number plates, but that would be pretty baity here. Honestly, I think I have to go Colombia, but I'm going to be really annoyed if it's Bolivia, Paraguay, because that was my first vibe. I just think the presence of this coconut palm makes it a little too unlikely, but yeah, I'm just going to go for it up here. It was Bolivia. Gosh damn it, man. That's really annoying. That also might be a repeat. I feel like I've seen that round before, maybe at some point, filming on this map before, which I have done a couple of times. Anyway, next one here. This looks like Soviet style poles to me. We're inside the mountains. It reminds me of the kind of buildings you get like in Kyrgyzstan or something like that, but I think the poles would be concrete in Kyrgyzstan. We do have pipes running above ground here, so that reminds me of like southern Russia, potentially making Georgia or something like that possible here. I don't know. It does kind of look like all the way South Russia inside the mountains near Mount Elbrus perhaps, because these mountains are pretty big. I think I might try that. The problem is this metal pole does not feel very Russian. What do we want to do? Maybe Tajikistan. Maybe Tajikistan here, just because the mountains are pretty big. You know what? I'm gonna try it. Let's go in a valley in Tajikistan here. I just think these poles would not be Russia. And it was Russia. Oh no, it was just over the border in Georgia. Like I said, it really had that vibe. That's unfortunate though. We could have gotten a great score. I mentioned Mount Elbrus. We were not far from Mount Elbrus there. Okay, next one here. Oh my gosh. I mean, immediately looked like Australia, but we have these huge cacti here, so I think it can't be. You know what I think this is? It looks like Baja California, or maybe like one of the islands near Los Angeles, or maybe even on the mainland, but it really does look like Santa Catalina Island to me. Like, I feel like I've seen it look so similar there before. And we also have a eucalyptus tree, but with the cacti. It's really interesting, guys. I think it could still be Peru, and it could still be Chile. I definitely think Chile's possible, especially because the sun is kind of towards the north, maybe. Look at that shadow. Yeah, maybe this is Chile, actually. If it's Chile, it's like around Santiago. So the question is the compass reliable here? I think I'm gonna change my mind down there. I think these cacti do look like the ones you get in South America a little more. So I'm gonna go north of Viña del Mar here in the kind of Santiago region. And oh my days, what a good guess. That is beautiful. That is really beautiful. Yeah, the cacti just rang a bell the more I looked, but I still think it looked quite a lot like Santa Catalina. Maybe some of you guys from LA have been there and you can tell me if that was valid or not. But next round here. This round is also a repeat for me, but let me tell you, the first ever time I got this round, I got the exact right stretch of road. So I will not feel guilty using this repeat round because this was in Cameroon. Cameroon is one of the only countries, if not the only country in the world to use orange license plates like this. And obviously Cameroon is very green and it's only really in the north that you get this dry landscape. So I'm pretty sure this was like the P1 in Cameroon going slightly southeast. So it's also pretty flat. So maybe it was actually the P29, something like that. It was like around here. I had this location maybe like 2 years ago, but I remember it. I remember it. Okay, even further up there. And that's the correct country, of course, but one I'd gotten before. The language on the van immediately looks Finnish here. Kalustetalo. I don't think that's going to be Swedish or Norwegian. Combine that with the fact we have blue strips on the plate, so it's clearly not North America. I think this is like one of these northern hilly regions in Finland. I mean, the trees are already getting pretty thin here. And yeah, so I'm just going to go there. And yeah, that's a great guess, but pretty easy. Must have been the middle of summer there, because I imagine most times in the year, it does not look that green. Okay, next one here. I immediately had the thought of Sardinia. Reason being, we have a yellow house there, which looks quite Italian. And then it's extremely rocky, which obviously looks quite Italian as well. We may even have a sheep, and I know that there are tons of sheep on Sardinia. The olives as well would be the other big giveaway here, if we're correct. Now, the pole is definitely interesting. It doesn't look super Italian to me, and it makes me think if we're wrong, it's probably like Morocco or Algeria, some country where I'm not familiar with the poles, but the house on the hill looks really nice. So I feel like I am actually going to stick to my guns here. So I'm going to go in this valley here. We're looking west at a big mountain peak. So I think it could be that one, but feels like there's no proper option there. Maybe this valley here. I quite like that. I'm going to go for that there. And okay, it was actually over here in Spain, in this little valley here on Mallorca. So we had the right vibe there for sure, but we did lose our country streak. Let's go in again here. It's a really fun map, I gotta say. This architecture though, guys, we got like thatched roofs. We have the ocean there to our south. Interesting. So my first thought was like Germany on like one of these islands, or just Denmark. That would be my first thoughts. It's extremely flat, Germanic architecture, some brick buildings, but some non-brick buildings. The fact that we honestly don't have that many brick buildings reminds me more probably of the German side. So maybe even one of these islands. Now, these appear to all belong to the Netherlands, I would say. Oh no, this is German. Okay. So maybe like one of these instead. The Dutch one's also possible, but we would have more bricks in the Netherlands, I think, at least. What about like this area up here in Germany? Maybe like here could work as well, I feel. So we do have a number of options. I feel like it is somewhere like between the North Sea and the Baltic Sea, like in this area here. I'm gonna guess here, actually. I'm gonna guess in this town here. That would make us in Germany on this island. It hedges everything nicely. And I feel like over here you may see a few more buildings that aren't made of bricks. So let's see. Not too bad at all. It was this little peninsula here. I'm pretty happy with that. I could basically just vibe it straight off the architecture here that it was going to be Germany, or at least most likely because of those white buildings. Okay, this one's an easy one. This one's going to be in Peru. We have this like pale yellow license plate for a government vehicle. Yeah, that's going to be Peruvian. Maybe not government, but maybe commercial or something like that. Now, if you look, this is very cool. We have two ladies sitting over here, and they are wearing traditional Andean clothing. The indigenous people of Peru and Bolivia wear this kind of clothes with the hat, with the very colorful shirt on, the long skirt. That's very, very indigenous Peruvian. Now, as for the region, I thought this looked a little bit further south, maybe towards Huancayo, maybe towards Ayacucho. That was my general area vibe here. But yeah, guessing within the mountains inside Peru can be challenging, so I'm just gonna go for it here. And it was a bit further north there. Actually, more towards the middle of the country. Still a good score though. Next one here, this is something crazy. Okay, Tahuata Nui. That sounds very like Polynesian to me, I would say, right? Would make sense to be out there, somewhere between here and Hawaii, I would say. It reminds me a lot of American Samoa, so I think I'm gonna go normal Samoa on this one. They do have mountains there, so we could be like in towards here. It's possible. There's not much population inland. That's kind of a concern for my idea, but I don't know. It just looks so much like it. I'm still tempted to go for it. Honestly, guys, it would be like picking a needle from a haystack, actually trying to get this one exactly correct. Unless this means something. I'm not sure though. I'm just gonna go here. And okay, I mean, if you look at it like this, it's not so bad, but obviously, yeah, we're pretty far here. It was actually a place. Tahuata was an island, and it's part of French Polynesia, I wanna say. That's probably France there. I'm not entirely sure, but as I said, I think the vibe for the vegetation and everything, pretty decently correct there. So moving forward, we lose our country streak, but we get a round in, I wanna say, Eastern Europe, maybe like Slovakia? Like, what's actually going on here though? It's really hard to tell. Just being on the bridge, we can't see many details. The stop sign is really old and kind of weird. Oh, that's an A-frame pole that looks holy. So I think instead of Slovakia, we're over the border in Poland, maybe? I think the background houses here, we have a dormer. This is a typical feature of Polish architecture, having a dormer in the roof here. It's the name of this triangle. So I think this is a very alpine looking Poland, and the map creator is Poland, so it's not a surprise that we get very cool Polish around here. I'm gonna say we're like inside the mountains here. We're going north-south over a bridge. I was about to say this kind of looks almost good, but yeah, we're not north-south over a bridge there. So maybe we can try and find one in here, because I feel like we are in this area. Like this one here, maybe. We're actually coming perpendicular to another road, so we need to find like a main road on the other side of the river. Maybe like here, Glika. Okay, I'm gonna go Glinka here. It's almost certainly not correct, but I do feel confident that we're near Slovakia. Okay, it is Poland. It is near Slovakia. It is near Zakopane, where I've been. So I may have even crossed a bridge nearby here, but it was mismapped. We were actually on, I guess, this bridge here, so we were never gonna get that exactly correct. Nonetheless, a good score. And this one is fascinating. Yellow number plate here. French pole tops. Tropical vegetation. This is some French overseas territory, I think. My first thought was that it kind of looked like Sao Tome and Principe, which of course is Portuguese speaking, not part of France, but just what it looked like. But I'm actually thinking it may be like Martinique or something like that. But then it may be too vast here. We can see quite a lot of land in the distance. What about French Guiana? I think French Guiana is pretty decent. Do they have cliffs nearby the coast? I mean, they do. Like, this is not too far from the coast. I know that, like, down here, they have very cool mountains. But if we're going to be in a landscape with, you know, electricity poles, all that kind of thing, we need to be closer in towards the coast here. I still feel like it's possible. I still do actually think it's possible here. I'm going to go for French Guiana. But guys, it doesn't remind me that much of Brazil, like the vegetation. That could even be a Norfolk pine, in which case maybe it would be back in New Caledonia. But didn't we already have New Caledonia, like, on the first one? Yeah, we did. It was, like, right there. So maybe this time the main island of New Caledonia, just because there is a certain Australianness about it, and particularly this Norfolk pine. Whatever that is, it looks like a Norfolk pine, which if you didn't know is native to this island here, Norfolk Island, which is of course basically the closest place to New Caledonia to the south. So I'm gonna go for it. And okay, it was New Caledonia again. That's really sweet that we got that. Okay, I'm gonna continue the video until we get one wrong. As soon as we get a country wrong, the video ends. This is South Korea. We got language, and obviously North Korea is not built up like that, so that's an easy one. Our next one here looks like your typical Brazil, looks like a typical Cambodia, super red soil. The way they've got like a dirt wall off to the side here reminds me maybe more of like a Cambodia, Vietnam. Trees probably also give me that vibe, but it's really hard to say. I think I want to go Cambodia with Vietnam and Laos as my second two options. I'm gonna go Cambodia, and it was Gabon. That's a really difficult round. To be fair, the whole location felt quite unfamiliar. Like this, I wasn't quite sure how to interpret, but that is gonna mark the end of today's video. Hope you guys all enjoyed Geoguessr in 2069. Check it out yourselves if you want to. And that's it for the video, so thank you so much for watching. Till next time, and goodbye.